Welcome to day 3 of the I'm Gonna Love on Me Self Love Challenge. I am your host, Coach Stacy Christine, and I'm so excited to share this information in regards to your environment. Your environment is key for you to be able to master your thoughts, emotions, and feelings, like we discussed in day 2. Okay. I said in day 2 that when we were speaking about emotions, your surroundings has a lot to do with mastering those feelings and emotions, also thoughts as well. Well, that's why we're talking about environment today, okay? It is key in order for you to be able to do the mastery, the self mastery, all right? So, relationships can make or break you, all right? I would think I was 18 years old and I saw a sign in this advertising office that I used to work in, and it would say, like, your partner is 90% of your success or failure. So choose your partner wisely. Now, coming from an abusive childhood, coming from abusive relationships growing up, I did not even process that sign when I was young, like 20 something, when I first saw it, until now. When you are fully engulfed into your own unconditional self love journey, the people around you is crucial, because if you're filling your cup up on a daily basis, if you're loving on you on a daily basis, if you're showing love to the people around you, and there's people that are jealous or envious or trying to diminish what you're doing, they don't belong in your life. They don't belong in your life, period. All right. It first starts with the relationship that you have with yourself, though. The only way that you can give the world love is if you have the love within inside of you. We always say your cup shall runneth over. When I'm talking about running over, it needs to be, your love needs to be pouring from yourself, oozing out of yourself, and everybody else should get that love. But if the person or relationships are not responding with love back, and they're not basically reciprocating what you are giving, you got to X them out of your life. You have to. No matter how much you're connected with them, no matter what connections they can get you, no matter what it is. Like Jim Rohn said, you're not a tree, you can move. So you need to move out of that relationship, because it's going to affect everything that you're doing for your self love journey, okay? The company you keep, you will become. So the environment that you have around you, you will become that. I was speaking about that in day 2. I'm not going to go too heavy on it today, but you literally become the people that you around. There's a saying, if you sit in the barbershop long enough, you'll eventually get a haircut. Same thing. If you hang around 5 millionaires long enough, you'll become the sixth one. Because those people, the barbers are constantly cutting. If they're bored, they're downtime, they'll be like, hey, come get a haircut. If they're a millionaire and they are talking about advancing in payments and strategies and systems and growing, it's inevitable for that to come into you. Eventually, your $1 million idea is going to come to you. And it goes the same when you're around the negativity, okay? Their words will cast spells on you as well. I always say this to my clients. I attract women who are survivors of domestic violence too. And so when I'm talking to them, I'm usually saying, like, if you came out of a relationship and that last relationship said, you ain't never going to be nothing, you ain't never going to have nothing, you're not going to get nobody with those kids, nobody's going to love you the way that I love you. When these partners say those kinds of things, no matter how much you're like, no, you're lying, you're wrong, I don't care what you have to say, those words are still casting spells. Your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real or fake, truth or lie. It only takes in what you're giving it. And that negative Nancy, that negative person, is brainwashing you to believe those things, no matter how strong you think you are. So the best thing to do is just move away, back away, get away from that negativity. You are not responsible for someone else's emotions. You're only responsible for your own. Another way of putting that is you're not responsible for somebody else's feelings. You're only responsible for your own. And so if you're in some sort of relationship and you are positive, you are excited, you are, getting accomplishments, getting things taken care of, and you are just on cloud nine, and you walk into that room and that person, you can just feel that negativity, you can feel that anger, you can feel that energy. It's not your responsibility to change that person, no matter who they are. It's your responsibility to keep that loving energy that you have within inside of yourself. And so if possible, you either ignore that person, you go into the next room, or you let them know, look, I don't have time at this moment to take in. I don't have the capacity. Let's say that, because I don't have time. You can easily like flip that, right? I don't have the capacity to take in what you have right now. So I'm going to walk away. I'm going to hang up this phone call. I'm going to take a step back for a little bit. And if that person can't respect your boundaries, again, they got to go. All right. Another thing that you are responsible for is the all around you environment. So I actually watched this documentary on Netflix called The Blue Zones, and they talk about centennials. I believe that's the word. But it's basically they tracked all of the people who made it to 100 years old or close to 100 years old. And the gentleman that was tracking these areas where they had the most centennials, he called it the blue zones. He marked it as a blue zone. And so that person actually went to the blue zones to see how these people are living. And there was 4 things that they did in their environment so that they could live a happy, positive, loving life and live it to the fullest, and work toward that, living until 100 years old, which is a total blessing. Okay. So you don't have to go and watch that documentary if you don't want to. I'm going to give you the 4 categories that you must master in your environment. Alrighty. So the first one is they moved naturally. They incorporated moving their body on a daily basis. One demographic was Japan, and the Japanese don't even have chairs. They literally sit on the floor and they have to get up, sit on the floor and get up. It's basically doing squats every day, right? Another demographic, they had community like yoga dance classes that they would go with people their age and just move their body on a daily basis. Another community gardened regularly outside their house or at the local garden, and that movement of getting up and down and pulling the weeds, it wasn't really strenuous, but they did it daily to move their body. So that's number 1. You want to move naturally. Number 2, you want to have the right outlook. Okay. A lot of them had like philosophies and believed in like Buddha, all that kind of stuff, where they knew that their being was more than just what they had at that moment. They knew that it was their purpose, their mission to help and uplift the people that were around them. Okay. So their outlook on things was different. I'm just reading my notes. Sorry. The daily stress they minimize. They worrying cannot do nothing to you. So it's best to go ahead and think of the positive. They lived in faith-based communities, so maybe they had community around them that were usually saying the gospel, the word, just some sort of almost religion that they involved themselves in, and the community that helped them and uplift them. Sorry, living in Florida now, they like loud cars. All right. And so they also had happy hours. They would have community, kind of like mini parties, and they would drink and they would laugh and they would dance. And then on top of that, while they were eating, they were drinking and having conversation, which is gets me into the next topic number 3 on how to create the proper environment is you want to eat wisely. So a lot of them did not have a lot of meat in their diet. They actually had a lot of plant based in their diet. And beans is what kept on coming up in every single demographic that they followed, that they went to. So beans, plant based, nuts, a little bit of wine can go a long way. It never hurts. Actually, it was the Japanese that had a saying that basically when you were 80% full, you stop eating. You don't have to fill yourself all the way up every single time. Okay. So put yourself in an environment that you can produce healthier food. It's been my goal to have a garden for a minute. I can't wait to get it. I know it's coming, and all of these things that I'm teaching is making me want it even more. So I hope that maybe you can create some sort of garden in your home. I've seen a lot of things on Amazon where they have like a little kind of thing that's stacked up and you can plant and just put it in your window and you're growing vegetables and stuff like that. Look into those kind of things because they're really, really important. A lot of the vegetables that you'll find have a lot of pesticides that you find in the grocery store and everything like that. So they were encouraging you to grow your own fruits, grow your own vegetables, and have a plant-based diet. So then the fourth and final thing that centennials do in order to have the best life, live their best life, is connection. So the connection with the people that were in their environment was top tier priority. Some of those people didn't necessarily have family. They didn't have kids. They didn't have anybody that was still living. So they surrounded themselves with other women that were positive and happy and would take care of one another on a daily basis. They also joined communities where they would put in money, and then whenever it came, they would recycle that money. So if somebody had an emergency, that person would get that money, or every month they would disperse that money. They were building the community, that financial stability through their community, as well as having the unconditional love for their spouse and partner, making sure that you are connected with your spouse, with your partner, that you're on the same page, and that you're always giving that affection and always giving that time and love and energy to your partner. So just like I said earlier, as much as you're reciprocating your love, as much as you're giving your love to your partner, they should be reciprocating it to you. And then also having immediate friends, so friends that you have access to, that are there to support you, are there to uplift you, are not there to just complain and nag and talk about all of the craziness. Okay, they're there to uplift you and be positive. I just picture in my head the video of just a group of friends playing instruments, drinking their wine, eating great food, and dancing their butts off. It basically is the equivalent of everything that we just went over, of moving naturally, having the right outlook, eating wisely, and connection. So your environment is the epitome of how you will get to that unconditional self-love. So if you don't have any of those things around you, don't be afraid to isolate. I will tell you from experience, don't isolate for too long. It gets a little addictive. It gets a little like, oh, I'm just not going to bother with anybody else. I'm just going to love on me. That turns into toxicity. I'm not going to lie. So the keeping yourself around loving people, family, friends, connections, that actually keeps you going longer. And that was one of the things that kind of my mind when it came to thinking about my mother. My mother literally died miserably alone, and it was because she isolated herself for way too long, right? And I can take responsibility for it, but like I said, you're not responsible for anybody else's feelings. And so I am just making sure that I create the community that is the sanctuary for the empowerment, for the uplifting, for the motivating, and for the pick you up, right? Like your life is going to be lifing. Life is going to happen. Shit happens. One of my first mentors said every 3 to 6 months, something happens in your life. It could be car repairs, it could be an injury, it could be a death. Every 3 to 6 months, something is going to happen in your life. So, like we said in day 2, how are you going to respond to those things happening to you? Instead of reacting to those things that are happening to you. Respond with coming from a place of love in everything that is happening, and just put out that fire, whatever it is, and keep on moving. I promise that test will turn into be your testimony. I guarantee it. Okay. So, environment, protect your energy, protect your space. If you need to, back away from certain environments. That's totally okay. Just don't do it for too long. Start putting out to the universe the type of energy that you want to be around so that energy can start coming to you. Okay? I love you all so very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you on day 4.